about when you were born. What year were you born?
1917.
1917.
1917. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Gulfport County.
And where's that? In Tennessee?
Yeah,
What city is that? Is that near?
that's not a city. It's
Manchester.
Oh, okay, Manchester.
yeah.
We actually have a gentleman coming in about half an hour. He's from Manchester.
Okay.
Do you have any siblings, brothers and sisters?
Brothers and sisters, yes.
How many brothers and sisters?
How many of us?
There were 6 of you. You heard?
6 of us. Six
He's
of
the oldest.
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest. Oh, okay. And what'd your father do?
My father was a preacher,
Oh, okay. And
pastored churches.
in what church? Do you remember?
Well, they're Baptist churches.
Oh, Baptist church. Okay, okay. Did you know anything? Well, here, let me back up. Tell me a little bit about growing up where you were.
Well, I grew up, we didn't have much, you know, no money or nothing, but we grew up pretty well. Had plenty to eat.
You were on the farm.
Lived on a farm,
On a farm,
so that did give you plenty to eat.
yeah.
Why'd you enlist?
I felt it as my duty. This is a great country. And I wanted to do something about it. And I did.
He was the first volunteer from Coffee County.
Coffee County.
After they signed up.
You were the very first volunteer in your county to sign up for
Yeah.
World War II.
Yeah. And I've never regretted any of it. Of course, I've lost some men. You know, I hit the beaches at Normandy and lost an awful lot of folks. But it's all been worthwhile.
He had been a year out at the college, and then they could teach with a year, and so he was teaching at the time
Yes.
that he volunteered. He helped sign up the people when they started the draft, got their numbers and all, so then he decided he'd volunteer.
Yeah.
But he was teaching at that time, and he came back in the summers at the university, and he came back in the summers to get more credits at the university, and that's where we met.
Yeah.
Not at MTSU, only it was State Teachers College then.
Before MTSU was even
Yeah.
opened. When you enlisted, how long after were you sent to go overseas?
Right away.
Thank you.
What?
You didn't go right away.
Right, no.
You enlist December of 1940, and then that was made then in 41, and in 42 he got his commission as an officer, and that's when we married.
You were in the Army?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
the Army?
Military police.
You were an MP.
Yeah.
Very admirable job.
What?
Very admirable job. Very difficult job.
Very, very tough, but as I said, I helped liberate Dachau, and that was a painful thing.
Well, we're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
When you got overseas, where was your first stop?
Well, I was in England, and we headed over that way in boats. And when we
Do you remember what ship you were on?
on the ship I was on, I wasn't on a ship. I was on just a, I don't know what you call it, but
You were on a ship.
yeah.
going over.
Oh, yeah.
I only say that because yesterday we met a gentleman who came from England to the beaches at Normandy by ship. It was
Yeah,
the Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
when you said that, I thought,
yeah,
it's interesting.
that's
so
right.
you stayed in England and in Ireland for
Yeah.
a while,
Yeah,
before D-Day.
yeah.
Okay, did you have any idea at that time, going over what your mission was, what you were to do as a soldier?
Well, not what I was to do. I was just ready to do whatever they wanted me to do.
How'd you feel at that time?
Fine.
Fine, you felt good? So you got there. Tell me about coming upon Dachau. Tell me about that time before that, where you were, what you were scheduled. Do you remember?
could
Do you
tell
remember?
tell her about when you were landing on Normandy,
Yeah. Landed on Normandy on the beaches,
Omaha.
Omaha Beach, which was a tough one. I lost a lot of men. And we run when they dropped the thing, we
Landing craft.
went off on the well, what do they call them, Jeep, as we went all the way in there that way, and I lost fellas up there when it was happening.
You said when you were landing,
What?
when you were still landing, you said you looked on one side,
Yeah.
and so what?
Saw one go down.
No.
Look on the other
Jeep
side, the
was
same is
down.
true
On
of
the
them.
other side, what did you see?
The same thing.
The ship one blew up, didn't it?
Yeah,
There.
yeah. It was quite an affair. But I got all the way out on it, and we surrounded the Germans somewhat and drove them off.
You had to keep the vehicles moving off of
Yeah,
the beach.
yeah, yeah. It was my job to see that the vehicles kept moving.
By this time, Mr. Gardner, had you any clue what was happening in the rest of Eastern Europe?
No, I was just a country boy over here, and I don't know about that. We didn't have, we had newspapers and stuff, and we heard things on radio and all, but no.
What had you heard? What did you know?
I just knew that the war was going on over there, and that Hitler was going to try to rule the world, so to speak, and I didn't want that to happen.
Did you have any idea what he was doing to the Jews?
No, not at that time.
Not at that time. Tell me about how you got over to Germany and what happened there.
Well, when I got into Germany, we was kind of winning.
You fought all the way through France.
Yeah, went all the way through. I coming off the beach of Normandy, I had a little jacket on, and there's holes shot with it. None of them ever touched me. There's holes in them both sides. But I lost some boys. I had two drivers coming off the beach, and one of them made it and the other didn't. Wasn't fun. Wasn't fun.
Tell me about coming up on Dachau.
Well, I was going on through there and run into a place there. Somebody told me about it. There's a lot, railroad track down there, and a lot of them was in there. You've probably seen the picture of them dead in the thing. I went down there and I just couldn't fathom it hardly.
What did you know when you were going into Dachau? What had you thought it was?
I
What had
didn't-
they told you it was?
They didn't.
So you came in just to check things out?
Well,
Well, that you had
yeah,
orders to
orders to.
go in.
You had orders to go in.
Yeah, yeah.
Did they tell you there were POWs or inmates or people of any kind?
They didn't know it even.
They just ordered you to go in and look around and see what it was?
Yeah.
What was the first thing you remember seeing?
We had to, the
Well,
engineer had to blow a hole in the wall, didn't he?
yeah, I had to blow a hole in the wall to get through. And first things I saw that they was burning the people, putting them in the fire and burning them. You know. And that was quite rough with my man.
What else do you remember?
Well, I remember we just had to keep moving. We just didn't dare to stop. We just zoom. We just had to keep on going.
When did you realize that this was actually a death camp that you had come onto?
When I got there,
When you got there and you saw them going into the ovens?
yeah.
Did you know that they were Jews?
No, I didn't know at that time. I didn't know they were.
Did you meet any of the inmates? Had you talked to any of them?
Oh yeah, after the war, back home here, they had me over and you know,
At the university, and
why?
at the university, you
Yeah.
and Shay
Yeah. Arnold Shea.
were there.
While you were there at Dachau, do you remember talking to anybody? Any of the inmates?
No, they was just so relieved to get out of there, and some of the fellas started feeding them. They hadn't had anything to eat. They was terrible shape, and I wouldn't do it. And when I was back home after that, fella said it killed them as they ate. They hadn't had anything so long. But I'd saved the ones that I wouldn't feed.
One camp, I think they overfed them, didn't they?
Yeah,
A lot of them
yeah. Yeah.
So that's why you didn't feed them?
What?
That's why you didn't feed
Yeah,
them?
yeah. Yeah, kill them.
Do you remember any of the inmates?
No, not really.
Do you remember what you and your other soldiers had talked about when you saw them?
Well, we were just so startled. We just couldn't believe what we were seeing. It was just absolutely unbelievable what we were seeing.
How long were you there?
I don't know. We kept moving through. I don't know. That particular place.
You said they were happy to see you.
Oh, yes.
Tell me about that. What were they doing?
Well, they was inside there, you know, and we tore down the fences and so forth and got them out of there real quick. Shut the men off of that was guarding them on the top. We shut them off.
You killed them.
Oh, yes,
Killed the guards.
yeah. And that's the way we got them out there, and they were just so excited about it. And it's like I said, the ones that ate so much died, and I wouldn't feed mine, and they was all upset with me in the beginning, but they realized later that that's what happened. I saved their lives.
How do you feel about that?
Why?
How do you feel about that?
I feel that it's important. That I'd done something worthwhile, and it was really a rough situation there for a while.
Tell me real quick, do you remember what division you were in? Like unit?
I was with military police, that's all I remember.
Okay, military police with the Army.
Yeah.
Do you remember what company?
You were with headquarters, weren't you?
What?
You were with headquarters at that time, weren't
Yeah,
you?
headquarters.
Headquarters.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was captain under General
Yeah,
Haslip.
You were a captain?
Uh-huh.
Okay. You left Dachau. Tell me about that.
What? When I left,
After you left Dachau? Yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
we just kept moving. We was going
Had
after.
you radioed,
What?
had you told, had you informed anybody that the inmates at Dachau were gonna need help, and
No.
how, do you remember how you alerted other people about the inmates?
Well, I just told them about it. That's about all I
I
know.
guess you had radio or something, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a radio and all that sort of thing.
You had to leave some of the men there, and
What?
you took, some of them stayed there, the men to guard them or something, and
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
and then while you went on,
yeah.
yeah, the war wasn't quite over.
You left Dachau. Where'd you go from there?
Oh, just straight ahead, so like, oh, just,
You went to Austria from Germany.
what?
You went to Austria from Germany,
Yeah,
didn't you?
yeah.
Over to Austria?
Yeah,
How long were you in the service after you left Dachau?
oh, a long time.
Well, here, let me help. How long were you in the service total?
5.5 years.
Yeah,
5.5 years, and you had enlisted what year?
December of 40.
December of 40, and you had liberated Dachau,
uh-huh,
In 40,
44, 45?
uh-huh,
Okay, so you were in the service for a few months after you left Dachau.
yeah,
You
Oh,
came back
okay.
home after that? Came back to Tennessee after that?
yeah.
He came back to see his little daughter he'd never seen. She was 15 months old.
15 months old. I've never seen it.
So she was born while you were overseas?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh,
So you got to see your 15-month-old daughter.
yeah,
I bet that was something.
yeah, it was. Well, I've had quite a career in things. It's just, the whole world has been good to me.
Tell me when you came back. Do you remember telling your wife about what you saw at Dachau?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
He didn't talk too much about the war for a long time.
No, couldn't. We went back after it later on and went to the beaches and so forth, and then I sat there and cried a while. Then I was able to come home and tell the people about it. I'd go to schools, things like that, and tell them about the problems that we'd seen and all that.
He went back to school after he came home. He got a degree in pharmacy.
Yeah.
You became a pharmacist.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Never regretted that.
When you look back on that day in Dachau, what do you remember the most?
I remember the horror of it. It's even painful to talk to you about it. That was something. Now, of course, over here, I've met some of those people that come to the United States. Those people.
When you met the survivors, what was that like?
They were excited, and so was I.
We met a survivor who calls the day that you came into Dachau his second birthday, the birth of his freedom.
Yeah,
When you hear that, how does that make you feel knowing you brought that to them?
makes me feel good. Makes me feel very good. Even now.
After seeing what they had gone through, some of them were there for years, and the conditions that they lived in. Do you understand even a little bit, how important that day was that you got there?
Yeah, I do. I do. And over here, many of those people come to the United States, you know, and I met with them, so forth.
When Shay was here at the university, the way he met him, he was out there looking at the displays, and he couldn't find many on Deca. And Shay was standing closer. He took him over there where it was, and he was telling me he liberated it. And he said, and talked to him and said, "What, did you remember he was telling me where they blew out the bridge. He said, do you remember the bridge? He said he couldn't think for a minute about a bridge, and then he thought of a little platform that was over a little stream, you know. And he said, told him that, and said he practically picked him up and hugged him, said I was in line to go in next, to be whatever they
You rescued a lot of people.
What?
You rescued a lot of people.
Yes. Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, sometimes it's hard to talk about it. What I couldn't for a long time. But there's one thing I'm glad I did was do it. Do it.
How many children do you have?
We have 3, a boy and 2 girls.
Boy and 2 girls.
Yeah,
You have
he-
grandchildren?
He's
7.
a doctor here.
7 grandchildren.
Our son's a doctor here in town,
Oh.
and one daughter lives in Louisville and one in Indianapolis.
You have 7 grandchildren.
7 grandchildren.
That must be fun.
Yeah.
The youngest one now, though, is 19, so they're not little anymore.
Aw, you're gonna have great grandchildren
I
soon.
don't have any yet.
Aw.
They're just 2 of them are married.
Well, it'll be coming. You looking forward to the holidays?
Yeah.
We've just been here about 7 months. We decided that I couldn't cope with both of us.
Sure, sure.
And so we really like it here.
It's a very nice
We
place.
sold our home that was here. And, we enjoy it. We have 2 large rooms, and we enjoy it.
When you came back, did you meet people who didn't believe what you'd been through? Or, you know, how did you deal with that?
There were some who didn't. And boy, I dealt with it strongly. Really let them have it. Let them have it.
Said he was an eyewitness.
I was there. I saw it.
Could you understand?
Why?
Could you understand why someone wouldn't believe?
No. I never understood that. I still don't.
What would you say to someone who hasn't experienced what you had and can't imagine it?
Well, there wasn't much I could say to them, really. They wasn't going to listen.
Thank you.
Okay,
It was an honor to hear your story. It's an honor to be with you.
thank you.